Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about bad self-defense across the web. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, 1-inch punch that bell notification, give this video a thumbs up if you can. Well, if you weren't aware about YouTube and the YouTube environment, there's one way to become successful on YouTube, and that's to clout chase, meaning essentially you become a bully. You find people in your niche that are very successful, and then you go and you say, they're wrong, I'm right, I'm the best, they're the worst. And you play that game a lot back and forth. And that's how people grow channels here on YouTube. As much as that might be beneficial in a way to me if I did that, because then my channel would grow and then I could get my message out there, it's a very un-kung fu-like thing to do. So I've had a hard time, doing that, and therefore I haven't done that. Maybe one day I will, but for now I haven't. And you can probably tell because my most successful video to date has been how to kill a murder hornet, which is really kind of sad, but it is what it is. Now, something I was planning on doing was one day, if I was going to show some of these bad things that I see out there, I always wanted to not just say this person's bad and I'm the best, but what they're doing is wrong and here's why, and here's how it should be done. Unfortunately, we're still in this bit of a lockdown here, even though people are rioting everywhere. We're still in a bit of a situation where people are social distancing. My students are, we're not all back into full effect, full swing yet. So I don't have the luxury of having students over for me to demonstrate with just yet. Soon that will happen. So today I'm just going to briefly talk about something I saw, and I just want to bring this up because you can kind of see these things, spot these things, and you should be able to tell what's right and what's wrong. Now, as a 15-year-old kid, I was in a karate class, and it's a long story, but this guy was probably the best of the best in the karate field, and he took me around, and he was like, look, when you get your white belt with the yellow stripe, it'll be like a black belt test here, and, it is what it is, but we were going, and I was like the #1 student in the class. And it was mostly adults. I was the only kid in the class. And when he said, here's how to defend an overhead bat, and he went, hi-ya, and you take the bat right here on the meaty part of your arm. And that was my last day at the class. And later on, I saw a bunch of the adults at this gym, and they were like, what happened to you? You were so into that. You're the #1 guy. Where'd you go? And I was like, I just simply feel like that's wrong. It's not right. It's not effective. It's not what I'm looking for. And they're like, what do you mean? And I brought up that self-defense. The minute he was saying, you're going to take a bat here and deflect it or block it with the meaty part of your arm, like that bat will probably break every bone in my arm and then come down crashing on my skull. So I left and I kept looking and I kept looking. And when I found Wing Chun, just light bulbs went off. When I saw the capping punch, how you simultaneously deflect and attack, you're not using force. When we did knives, we're sidestepping away from it. Just everything worked. It made sense. And I always said this, if Spock was going to choose a martial art, he probably would choose Wing Chun because it's the most logical. Now, what I saw was and I'm not going to mention the instructor's name, or post this clip of him doing it, but I can easily describe it. And the guy had millions of followers, and this video had hundreds of thousands of views. Well over 500,000 views. And essentially what it was a knife defense. And when the knife came, he did the hi-ya block here, right? So he blocked the arm right here with the knife, okay? And then he did a whole 5 or 6, 7 techniques, and then he finally took the knife away from the guy and gave it back to him. Well, what's going to happen in that situation is you're going to go to block, and the knife's going to wind up going into your skull, and you're going to have a nice knife in your head, okay? That's what's going to happen. If you were strong enough to actually block that and stop it, all the guy has to do is pull down with his blade, and now he's cutting your arm, and then he's going to start stabbing you. So when you see techniques, that's why that video, there is no block. When you see techniques where you're blocking bats and knives with your arm, you're in deep trouble. You know that trainer, that Sifu, that sensei, that combat drill instructor has zero combat training or understanding of reality of what that weapon is capable of or how to defend it. It's learning out of an old school textbook that absolutely is going to get you killed, right? So you, once again, have to you have to keep an open mind and not believe every master, teacher, sensei, instructor, person with a black belt. And that's why I always tell my students, if you have questions, ask. If you think we're doing self-defense, it doesn't work for you, you think this is wrong, ask. Let's talk about it. I'm open to open discussion. Same on this channel. If you see something I do, instead of going, you're wrong, you suck, you're the worst, you know nothing, don't say that. You can say that, but at the same time, say, I think this is wrong, here's why, and give me a chance to discuss it with you, because I've looked at everything from every angle possible, and I try to find the most practical, effective tool in the book, right? So when that knife is coming overhead, you're stepping aside, and you can bring that knife and return it to your attacker. And I will show you guys these videos in the very near future with some weapons defense and how to deal with things. But when I see things like that, it really boils my blood, because I'm like, wow, this person has millions of followers and they're showing techniques that are gonna get you killed. They're gonna get you killed. If you think that's how you're gonna defend a knife, by going like this, hi-ya block, or a baseball bat or something of that nature, you're gonna wind up getting your skull cracked open or stabbed. So please understand that a lot of stuff you see out there is just stuff and it's meaningless and it's useless, and there's no real understanding behind it, and that's wrong. And that's also why I try to teach in such detail, because I don't want you to have secondhand kung fu. I don't want you to go, follow me, follow me, follow me, and not understand what you're doing. This is how my Sifu taught me, and this is how I'm teaching you. Now, a job of every Sifu is to make their student better than you are, better than I am. I want my students to be better than me. If I get my students to be a place where they're better than me, I've done my job. And something else my Sifu taught me, it's like taking a knife, and you don't hand your student a butter knife, and then they hand it down, and they hand that butter knife down, and they hand it down, and they hand it down, and eventually somebody's just got this rusty, dull butter knife that does nothing. When my Sifu handed it to me, he handed me the sharpest blade in the world, and now it's my goal to sharpen that blade even more and hand it to a student that is going to sharpen it even more, so the system can grow and get sharper and better as we go, and not turn into a dull, rusty butter knife. So be careful with what you see out there. And once again, I thank you for your time. If you have any comments, questions, anything you'd like for me to cover, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope to see you soon. Once again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, 1-inch punch that bell notification, give this video a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing everybody in a future lesson to come. Have a great day.